Yes, hello, folks. Welcome to the weekly Manchester United podcast. I'm your host, as always, Phil Brandt, joined with my excellent co-host here, Martin Warwick, back for a second week in a row. So, what do I owe you for the pleasure of this, man?
Well, I figure we may as well have a little chat before shit hits the fan tomorrow, as if it's not already hit the fan already with the I'll say breaking news, but I think the inevitable news coming out that we've kind of figured that's the norm for this club these days. A few days before cup final day.
Yeah, obviously we'll talk about the news regarding Erik Ten Hag, and then we'll take a look ahead to the cup final and a few other things. As you quite rightly point out, woke up this morning to the news broken by Jacob Steinberg. I think I have that correct. Hopefully, I do. And I apologize if I got that wrong. But from the Guardian, that United will sack Ten Hag regardless of what happens. Well, mate, here's the thing. It's been obvious for a while that it would be more of a surprise if United didn't sack Ten Hag at the end of the season. There was conflicting reports. There was a lot of reports from people on the inside saying that no one had said anything about him being sacked, which I believe to be true. But then there's the other side of this, where other people who are very well connected in the media, who have exceptionally United sources, were claiming otherwise. All of this was predictable, um, unless there was an arrangement, an agreement with Ten Hag and the club about not announcing this before the cup final, in which case I don't understand that strategy. This is poor. This is a week after the women found out through the media that their party was being cancelled. Predictably, all the questions now are about Erik Ten Hag and his future rather than the cup final. I would imagine if you're a player, you're not too happy, and regardless of what happens in this final, that's going to be the discussion. I have no problems with United sacking Ten Hag, none whatsoever. I won't lose any sleep over it. And you can make an argument for or against, that's no problems. But as always, it's the way you go about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you. I think it was inevitable when you really didn't hear anything. They've never actually really come out in support of Ten Hag of this, since they took over, since that very first interview they did. Not that they were saying otherwise, but there wasn't exactly glowing support for him. And I think it was, for me, this providing it's true, this was inevitable anyway. And I think with other managers losing their jobs, Pochettino becoming available, Tuchel becoming available. Not to say that I have a preference in the two, and now the Kieran McKenna stuff. I wonder how much. So let me back up a little bit. You and I said last week. Certainly, I said in private. I said to you, if Ineos were waiting for the cup final to make a decision, I had a bigger problem with that. If they were going to judge a manager based on one cup final, I had a bigger problem with that. So I fail to believe that the decision wasn't made some time ago. Now, if they were going to back him, you would have expected either some kind of announcement or some kind of contract extension. From a Ten Hag perspective, would you want to continue in the job? This is inevitable. Whether it's now, whether it's Christmas, when talks like this start ramping up, it's a ticking time bomb, isn't it? You're now week to week. Wouldn't have surprised me if Ten Hag himself had decided, you know what, with other jobs open, maybe it's time that I'll walk. So I don't believe, I'd like to believe that no decision was going to be made based off one FA Cup final win. And if so, that's wrong. Ten Hag either deserved the chance to spend a year under a new footballing structure with people who are football people, with people who are actually people who do the job that they are designed to do, rather than bankers doing that job. Or if they so determined that they wanted a new project and a new start with a new boss, so be it. Again, I'm like you, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. I think there's too many cases for and against Ten Hag to definitively say which way I would have gone. I think I made that pretty clear last week. I wonder now. There's no point keeping him. because you're only going to sack him down the line. It's obvious to me he is not the long-term solution at United as far as Ineos is concerned, and he would have to do something extraordinary. And I think if they would have been in full support with him, you would have heard some backing for him, because you've got a massive, massive transfer window coming up. Regardless of what the budget might be, strategically, it's an enormous transfer window. So I believe that if they would have been in full support of Ten Hag, they would have come out and backed him so that it was made known to everybody that this is going to be with Ten Hag. They're going to be his people, his choices, in collaboration with the board to move forward. But again, United have handled things absolutely astonishingly poorly.
Well, the Jan Fjordhoff said that Ten Hag found out before the Arsenal game. After the Arsenal game before the Arsenal game was the Crystal Palace game. That was probably one of the lowest moments of the season where you can understand in the aftermath that Ineos said, that's it. But I will say, Martin, if you look at Ten Hag's body language, if you look at some of the answers he was given in press conferences after that, they weren't the musings of a man that sounded like he'd been told, because he's constantly talking long term.
Unless, as you said earlier, he was in agreement that, is it a mutual agreement?
Yeah, and that's possible too. That's another aspect of this. Like maybe Ten Hag has decided, I want to walk away. I can't work under the conditions that you're imposing on me to be successful, and that's fine. That would be his decision. Football managers changing jobs is not the headline it once was. It's not earth-shattering news. It happens. It's just always the way you go about it. To me, it's not what you do; it's how you do it. And no one could complain if Ten Hag was sacked. I mean, the season United have had is diabolical. Finishing 8th, negative goal difference, the Champions League, finishing bottom of your Champions League group. I mean, it's just a horror show no matter what way you look at it. There's been a few positives with the emergence of young players, but the season as an overall has just been nowhere near good enough, and you should expect to be sacked at a big club for that. Now, there's obviously lots of mitigating factors that aren't his fault that Ineos have acknowledged that they'll have to change. But we're sitting here talking about Tuchel, and we're talking about people like that. I'm really curious to see how Ineos recruit on a Thomas Tuchel level this summer, United recruit, because how do you attract top players when you're sitting in 8th? You're not in Europe next season, assuming United don't win the cup final tomorrow. Because top players have choices. They can go to any club they want. How did they decide? How can they get them to the club? They can't do it because of money. Because you have to give them another reason than just money to come to your football club. So who do Ineos target this summer?
Oh, that's $1 million question, isn't it? Go back to why I said I would like to think that there was a point. Is there somebody in mind? I mean, the fact that they're coming out and saying that, or we're hearing, I should say, excuse me, that talks have been held with McKenna in the past. Again, you come back around to you and I, and I think you've said it multiple times. To be a Man United manager, you've got to be a big character. You've got to, the amount of abuse you've got to take on a day-to-day basis. And you look at all this lead up to the cup final. I don't remember a footballing question being asked of Ten Hag. Can someone like a Kieran McKenna handle that? Is a Kieran McKenna ready? That's the flip side to it. Kieran McKenna knows the club. Wonderful young coach, clearly. Are Ineos going to be freaked by the fact that it's pretty obvious that the Sharks are circling there around McKenna? Are they going to be? Is their hand going to be forced to jump to McKenna before they lose him? The next, great young manager. Pochettino has always been there or thereabouts, hasn't he? He's always been linked with us. And I don't think these kind of managers are going to. I mean, look, there's a transfer budget. Obviously, there's massive financial problems with financial fair play. I don't think that concerns those managers. That Man United job still, and maybe the prospect of working under a proper, true footballing structure is enough initially to bring them managers in. I could be wrong, but that's just the attraction of working for Man United. I mean, you continue to see how big of a draw Man United is. It's with no money and the nonsense going on with the Glazers in the past. People still jump to come to Man United, or from a managerial standpoint. Player wise, Tuchel obviously has had success, has managed at big clubs. Pochettino, relative success, managed at massive clubs. My question about McKenna is, and to be quite honest, my choice would be Kieran McKenna. I want a young, innovative manager who's not been scarred by other clubs, someone who up and up. But who comes and plays for Kieran McKenna?
Well,
that would be my concern in terms of big names. And we go back to what you and I spoke about, Mark Sanders. How is Kieran McKenna? It's one thing managing, it's one thing coaching in the United setup. It's another thing. He's coached under. I mean, Kieran McKenna's coached under fantastic managers. Don't forget, he's been in the system. He's coached under Jose. So he's been around. He's been around great first team coaches, first team managers.
But then the question is, Martin, what's United players' relationship like with Kieran McKenna? Because obviously a lot of the players will know him.
Correct.
It relies on them having a positive impression of McKenna. I would be surprised if United weren't asking players, about their relationship. There'll be people at the football club will know about his personality, will know about, his makeup. And you're right, coaching and laying out coaching plans is totally different. And one of the things that is often leveled at Ten Hag is, and you heard Ibrahimovic say this, it's one thing coaching young Ajax players in a particular way, but coaching players at United, you have to do it completely different. The jump from Ipswich in the Championship to Manchester United in the Premier League, wanting to win the Premier League, because the next manager United appoint has to be someone that they're intending to win the league with.
Yeah,
that's a massive risk with Kieran McKenna. There's an enormous amount of assumptions there, because the pressure of trying to win the Premier League is it's nothing like you're going to see in the Championship. Is Kieran McKenna the type of guy that's going to go toe to toe with Ten Hag with Guardiola? I don't know. I mean, I would love to see. I don't care who it is. I would love to see someone come in and be able to do that. These are questions that Kieran McKenna has yet to answer. I don't know if you want those. You want to take that risk when you take the United job. I would like to see those questions answered if it was at Brighton.
I totally agree. And
that stone in between Ipswich and United. And these football departments, mate, they're going to take a while before they're functioning at optimal levels. They're not going to, all of a sudden hit the ground running right away. There's going to be, perturbations. There's going to be bumps in the road. There's going to be things they're going to do wrong. And, in order to grow, roses, you have to cultivate the environment first. Otherwise, you're just growing weeds. They need to pull these weeds. There's still a lot of demolition of old systems they need to do before they can start rebuilding. And I'm really not that optimistic about United being in a title race next season. Well, obviously not, but I mean, even being in the top four, I still think United are going to struggle to be in the top four next season, no matter what happens.
I agree. I think, it's incredible the fact that we have to say that we've become the old Arsenal, haven't we? Where we're looking at top four, but it genuinely from 8th to 4th, with teams that are getting better. Obviously, City and Arsenal are going to be where they are. It's yet to be seen how Liverpool, what changes at Liverpool. I mean, there'll be, there's going to be changes there from the player side for sure. But there's big obstacles. It's not like you're talking about looking at one or two teams there. You've got a substantial improvement to make. And everything you said about McKenna there, I completely agree with. In an ideal world for me, he comes up with Ipswich. He spends a year or so, if you want the Vincent Kompany route, where he comes up, he's got relegated. Okay, Kompany wasn't, choice A, B, C, probably or D at Bayern Munich, but it seems like that's where he's going to land, right? So, that little bit of Premier League experience you would say that the safe option would probably be Poch. But these guys, I guess it's the modern world, though. It's you hear people talk about, oh, we've got this player for the next 4. I'm at 22. We've got him for the next 5, 6, 7, 8 years. Got this manager. He's young. We want to bring him on a 5. Reality of it is, the shelf life of a manager these days, other than those top small percentage now, they're in and out within 18 months, 2 years. Anyway, so whichever direction they go, I think if you were to see them go with a Tuchel Poch, I think it's it's not a long term. I don't think it's with a long term vision. I think if they do really gamble and go with a McKenna, you're looking at the sporting department there is going, okay, we're in it for the long haul. And you're almost admitting, and you openly admitting early that we're a ways away and we want to build. I don't know. I don't have any faith that you can be seen as challenging for the next few years.
For those of you just joining us, the last 10 minutes is a free preview of Martin's Only Fans. So stay tuned. We've got some exciting stuff coming up. Oh, Kev, I've seen it so much. You should our followers are dropping off from it. But no, listen, it's the Pochettino, Tuchel. Obviously, they're both more experienced. They have more experience at the top level, or less of a risk, I suppose. But it's interesting to me that Bruno Fernandes is openly throwing the question to Ineos about ambition. And Mary Earps a week ago, who of course is United's goalkeeper, one of the best players in the team, high profile, also said the same thing. Show me the ambition, not just in the form of rack and pants, but in terms of your recruitment. What exactly is your plan here? Because one of the things that also says to me, and I know I've had this confirmed as an absolute fact, I've had this confirmed by players that have told me this is exactly what they've been told. United have made promises to players that haven't been kept about recruitment, about what players they're going to go after. They've promised these things in contract negotiations once the contract's inked. Then, of course, direction changes. Now, this has been going on for a while. We go back to Rooney questioning United's ambition. And for these players that have been on this treadmill for a while, they're right to do this. Does your ambition match ours? Because there has to be complete alignment from the top down to the players on the pitch on what the goal is. What is the clear definition of success? What is the clear definition of failure? That might sound trivial, but actually, I guarantee you, if you ask the Glazers what was their definition of success, it would not be the same as the players, right? So when you have no alignment on those goals, and you bring players for money, when you make enormous amounts of money, the next paycheck doesn't change your life. Unless you make money that completely changes your life, it's very difficult to be motivated by money, because these players are so wealthy that another 300 grand a week isn't what motivates them. It might be great in the beginning, but to keep them focused in a line that has to be sport and goals. That's what, when a player scores in the last minute of the Champions League final, they're not thinking about their bonus, they're not thinking about their wage. They're thinking about when they were a kid on the street in the pouring rain, they were thinking about all their dreams and all the moments that led up to that. So there has to be football goals prioritized at the club, and everything has to be, every resource has to be tailored towards that goal. That's what happens at City, that's what happens at Arsenal, and that's what happens at Liverpool. For United to catch those teams, that's what it has to be, but it can't be an underwhelming summer, Martin, because for Ineos, they have to show ambition this summer. Mm-hmm. They have to go out, and they can't treat United like it's a Brighton. They can't treat United like it's a Nice. They can't treat United, like it's a club that just develops young players and then either cashes in on them, or continues to follow that model, because it's very hard to sustain that. And I don't think it works at a club like United, because this pressure for winning trophies is so high. But to me, Ineos can't lose the people at the football club for a lack of ambition in the hope to attract new people. So the commitments they make to Bruno and everyone else have to be kept.
Well, another concern would be, and now correct me if I'm wrong, but back at the Arsenal game, Tuchel was still in a job, Pochettino was still in a job. So if they end up going with one of those two, how has that been, a thought out process? And if they were saying they weren't going to keep him, then they were going to jump. It doesn't tell you that they've done heavy intensive work to bring in the next match. It's kind of almost by default that one of those has become available that ends up at the club. So what was say if it's true that they told him then, what was their plan before those managers became available? If it isn't going to be one of those two,
I would say that with the fact that Southgate left at Rashford was a massive indicator for me that he would not be the next Manchester United manager. I highly doubt.
I'd agree with that. I'd agree with that too.
I think if he was going to be the next United manager, I would have found it easy to include Rashford and leave maybe Grealish out or something. But not something I wanted to see United anyway.
But again, I'll get pelters for this, but I could see the attraction with him from their standpoint, obviously the connection with him. What Arsenal had, what City had, what Liverpool had, was that at the top had that connection, had that relationship between their guy and the ownership. It would have been a safe. Did they see him potentially as the manager just come and be completely vanilla, low expectation from the fan base, and was that the attraction? I don't know. I just question now. I'd be very interested to see how this goes. Either way, I got a feel for Ten Hag. I still say Ten Hag deserved time under a true structure, but not if you were on a week to week, month to month type basis where you're just waiting for the axe to fall. I go back where if he was the man for Ineos, I think we would have known about it. I think they would have made it known very quickly that they are fully behind him. If they don't fully back you openly in the public eye, I think it tells its own story, doesn't it?
It's been a good week for them, mate, because you have the whole Dan Ashworth story, which, it's quite funny to me how as soon as someone is either linked with United or close to coming to United, they get infected by the incompetence virus. This is Woodward-esque levels of incompetence. This is Gary Cook-esque levels of incompetence. And everyone, this is truly unbelievable. How could someone be that naive and stupid? And it's so stupid, it almost feels deliberate. And now put United in trouble, even with City and Barada, if they really wanted, they could be, they could be litigious over that. Not a good week. And what's more, if the functioning of Manchester United is still somewhat in limbo until people like Dan Ashworth come, United have to find a way of being able to operate in the immediate term, because this is a really, really important period, and they have to be swift. They have to be shrewd on pursuing their targets, and they have to make. I would hope that a decision is made about Ten Hag long before this weekend, because they need to know exactly what they're doing Sunday morning, not just with Ten Hag, but with players. And so for me, it's it's a very short time frame to get things right. And Ratcliffe, Barada, and Ashworth and Jason Wilcox and all are about to find out that life at Manchester United is very different if you start getting decisions wrong.
Well, yeah, and like you said, the anonymity has just completely disappeared. You can't hide behind anything there. Everything is massively in the mainstream, in the public eye, and very, very interesting to see how this plays out from here on out. If in fact, rumors are true that they're going to, Ten Hag will be out straight after. How are they? What kind of mess are they going to get themselves into handling that one? What are they going to tell us about the next boss? How quickly? Because as you said, summer starts on Sunday. After FA Cup final is done, summer's got to start. And if you've not started putting plans in place already with the current manager, then who's making the decisions?
Yeah, it's something that has to get fixed immediately, one way or another. Looking ahead to this cup final, a bit nihilistic, but it's a football match, so what's your expectation?
Well, first and foremost, I hope it's a 3:00 kickoff, right?
In the UK, yeah.
Yeah, so let's hope it's not 3:05, 3:10, 3:15, 3:20 kickoffs as well. I don't know, mate. I just don't see. I don't see a way. There's nothing. There's nothing to fill me with much hope. Other than this is United, and as much as it wouldn't surprise me to see us get an absolute pumping, to see us go and sneak one, you're forgetting. City haven't been playing very well.
Not won their last game in a row.
I said they've not been playing very well. They've been getting the results. They've not been playing very well. Okay. I don't know. I'm clutching at straws here. Give me a second. No, they've looked pretty unconvincing in some of those games. But as you said last week, they don't have a Champions League final. They've got nothing left. City now. This is it. This is their season. So there's, they took the foot off the gas in last year's FA Cup final once they went ahead. It's going to take something special.
Once they went ahead after 15 seconds.
That's what I said. That's why I don't want it to be a 3:05 kickoff and a 3:10 kickoff and a 3:15 kickoff.
Well, there's no danger of you missing it because you're buying a pint, so it's all right.
Fortunately, Grayson has a tournament, so I'll be watching on my phone on the side of a pitch, actually watching some decent football.
One bar like a Bermuda Triangle for you. There you go.
It's going to take 2 or 3 moments of brilliance from United, which we have seen very, very sporadically. Maybe Rashford starts and has something to prove, comes out and has a game that we know Rashford is capable of. It'd be interesting to see how he lines up. Is the plan to line up the way he's lined up like the previous 2 or 3 games without a central striker and playing a false 9 or playing that box midfield? I just don't know. You would just
if you need to win that game about 8:00 at night, if you catch me, I'll be wishing people a happy New Year.
I don't think you'll last. I don't think you'll last till 8:00, mate.
Well,
not since 30 last week.
All depends on what performance enhancers we may be obsessed with. But no, seriously, it's I have no hope, expectation. I would always what I ask of United in these games is it's okay to lose, but just make sure you can look fans in the eye at the end of the game. Don't surrender, don't go out there and embarrass the football club and lose the game. Fine. Most United fans are expecting that.
You know what's coming? It's going to be Ten Hag masterclass coming now. A tactical, absolute masterclass coming right now.
Mate,
you watch.
This last one, I said that I didn't think before the Arsenal game they'd win any of their last 3 league games, and they won 2 of them. And they probably played okay against Arsenal, to be fair. But I mean, look, they're playing probably the best team in the world, the team that wins when they have to win. And the team that United are far behind, to be fair. Interested in that they've got a number of players coming back. I do feel sorry for Big Maguire because he deserves playing a cup final. Last season was in a terrible situation. Very difficult. Football club wanted to get rid of him. Was sort of in a similar situation to Marcus Rashford in that he had a difficult relationship with the fans. He knuckled down, and we were lucky to have him this season. Disappointing for him. Looks like Shaw's out too. Those are big losses for United in a cup final. I think they've got 2 fit centre backs.
Hey, Martial's fit.
I honestly think for him because this is a guy that has unbelievable talent. And it's hard as a footballer for getting injured because it's not really under their control. A guy that at times looked like he could have been one of the top forwards in the world.
There's a reason. Didn't he have a Ballon d'Or clause in that contract?
I mean, but people forget, like, Martial in his first season under Van Gaal, he essentially carried that team. He was 18, a kid.
So when he played early in them early years, when he played, he was undoubted. What happened, whether it was injury and then mentality, I don't know. But talk about again. I mean, he was Man United's best finisher at the club by a long way. He was United's best finisher, and I really question what happened and where it all went wrong. But it's just been a story for so many players at United, so many transfers, so many incoming players, so many current players. What on earth has been going on? Because again, there's so much wasted talent and so many issues behind the scenes. There's so many leaks. There's so many dressing room breakdowns and leaks and fractions. And
Mate, the environment that United was about individual self-enrichment. No one was working towards a collective team goal. So eventually players will do that too. Eventually players will adjust to the environment and say, okay, if I'm just here to pick up a big fat wage and do nothing for it, and that's what I'll do. So the environment United has always been about that. So that environment takes years to change. Usually it results in having to change people, because the things that are attracted to that environment, like moss to firelight, they are repelled by an environment of accountability, of high standards, and it takes you a while to get those people out. So it's usually a tumultuous transition between the old and the new, and it's not easy. So this is what I'm saying, where, the first year is essentially about creating an environment that cleans it out, that brings the right people in and gets the right people out. And then you start building. And so, whoever comes in next season will find it really difficult to finish top four. And that's how they're going to be judged, because United fans will not be patient on that.
Who'd be your choice?
I don't know.
Two questions then. Who would be your choice, and who do you think they'll go with? And is that the same person?
See, what concerns me, Med, is when you're looking at people like Graham Potter and Thomas Frank, are you looking at players like that play for Graham Potter and Thomas Frank, young players that you want to develop? Kieran McKenna, what does that say to me about how United want to recruit? Do they want a big personality in there? If you look at Pochettino's a big personality, refused to work in an environment at Chelsea where he had no say on transfers. Why would a player sign for a club without talking to the manager and asking him, do you want me? Because it's the manager that picks the team. So why would you want to exclude them from that process? So, what does the likes of Kieran McKenna indicate how United are going to recruit? I mean, McKenna would be insane to go to Chelsea. Absolutely insane. That's not a football club that wants a manager. They want a coach, and you're responsible for their decisions. I don't know. I mean, the fact that they're staying away from people like Tuchel would suggest to me they don't want to sign players that Tuchel would expect you to bring. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's an unfair conclusion, but I can't help thinking that.
Yeah, I'm saying I don't. I think I said it a little bit earlier. Then I think who comes in next will give you a little clearer indication on which direction that they go in. I mean, that sounds pretty simplistic, but meaning that is it a brand new project, or is it a continuation of what Ten Hag has slightly started, and they're going to continue down that route? I think that's why, to me, I think if for Ineos to gain a little bit more credibility, that's where I would go with Kieran McKenna, and I think that would tell me, if nothing else. And again, this is flawed. Okay, she's flawed in many ways. By which, how do you get top players in there under? I think somebody said in the chat to I mean, McKenna's got more coach experience than Pep did and Arteta did when they took the jobs, which is somewhat true, but it gives you a better indication of this is going to be a complete reset, and at least, if nothing else, says we are starting a complete fresh, and we're doing things completely different, with a different mentality, a different mindset, a different philosophy, and a different vision than has begun with the Glazers, where it's who's available now, let's get them in, let's get them out. I think that's the one thing that would show me from Ineos, that they are determined to do things differently. Now, whether you think that's right or whether you think that's wrong is up for debate. But I think it's a clear indication that they are not willing to go down the same paths that have been trodden recently. And let's be honest, it's not worked so far. So why not try something completely different? And why not take a punt on somebody who might just be the next best thing? I don't think there's an apart from McKenna himself. I don't think United have an awful lot to lose by going down that route. And we've seen it. We've seen these guys come in before. We've seen, the failures of Pochettino and the failures of Tuchel. We've already seen them firsthand in this country. They've been chewed up and spat out. They've not been backed. They've had issues in the dressing room. All stuff that we've seen before. So maybe McKenna comes in and it's a complete breath of fresh air. And yes, how that relationship will develop with the players and with the incoming players and top talent. But maybe it's not the top talent that United want to bring in anymore. It's not the Galactico era anymore. Maybe they're looking at a different transfer strategy where,
did United ever
not on the cheap.
Did United ever really have a Galactico era?
Well, when I say Galacticos, I mean shirt sales. I'm not talking about ability-wise. I'm talking about shirt sales, and the reasons they're bringing these guys in. You can't take me. They didn't bring Zlatan in because they thought Zlatan was the best centre forward in the world.
They brought Zlatan, Cavani, and Ronaldo. Those are MLS signings. Maybe for the same reason. I agree with you that it's not just there's no question about it that Ronaldo was signed for commercial reasons, and how that relationship ended up was entirely predictable. You can't bring a winner like Cristiano Ronaldo to a football club that doesn't want to win the league, because inevitably what makes him great will make him a nuisance in the dressing room, because he's not going to tolerate that. There's going to be leaks everywhere. There's going to be fights everywhere. In exactly the same way, like if you put Roy Keane in the dressing room and said, okay, our only ambition is to finish in the top four, well, this is not going to work because this guy's not going to tolerate this.
Well, he wouldn't finish with the squad. And I agree, by the way, in the chat there, Ancelotti, but try getting him out. Not sure Ancelotti's leaving Real Madrid for Man United right now.
Do you know what I like about Ancelotti, mate? I like the fact that he doesn't try to be, this tight, khaki, trendy manager. Just doesn't give right. This is the way I play. I'm not one of these guys that I'm going to leave a great philosophy behind. I'm not going to be, ticky-tack. We're just going to win again. And he never gets the credit he deserves because he doesn't fit into that trendy, coach's voice. Does this 4-2 double pivot, inverted forwards in the half stick bullshit. People that just use words that they don't even know what they mean, right? Just absolute gibberish, because he doesn't fit into that, And he's just a brilliant manager from an old school era that I love.
The hipsters don't like him.
Well, there's times I read stuff on Twitter, and I swear I'm reading a different language, and I swear the person typing has no fucking idea what they're talking about, where they just use this lexicon of football bullshit. There's a bullshitters lexicon, football bullshitters, and when they start talking about double pivot hospices, it's like you have no idea.
Listen, I'll give you another couple. I'll give you some more. Right now. Press resistant. Okay. Progressive ball carrier. Okay. There's two more for you. Cam's another one for you. Cam and CDM. It's called FIFA. It's called Championship Manager.
Someone explain me what the fucking Enganche is. It was on a football match. I'm like, a what? A what? An Enganche? I mean, I'm probably.
Hey, it started when obviously coaching terminology. It started when the word Rondo came in, and Rondo, for those who don't know, is keep away. It's piggy in the middle. It's keep away, but hey, it's not cool. It's not cool to call it anymore. Got to call it a Rondo because that's what the Spanish call it.
Yes, I understand.
And all these non-Spanish speaking players who, when they score, you can read the lips are running off shouting "Vamos, vamos, vamos!" Like, what are you? What, it's just gone mad.
Anyway, I don't care. Just the contamination of discussion around football is just littered with this type of nonsense. That is. I just love the fact that Ancelotti and people like that, they're not trying to create something. They're not trying to create something unique. Their legacy is trophies. And I hate the fact that we're now rating managers on their football legacy as if they're creating something that has never been created before. I mean, you can go see videos in the 50s and the 60s of things that we think were just created in the last 10 years. Anyway. Brian Clough was playing tiki taka, 40 years ago, with Forest, the ball on the ground when it was not popular in the UK. But all right, mate, give me a prediction for the cup final.
3-2 United.
Give me the number.
3-2 United.
Give me the number. After this, okay, mate.
Yeah.
Anyway,
listen. It's. I'm going. Look, I don't know. It's as ludicrous as saying 3-2 United is. What are we supposed to say? I'm not going to sit here and go United are going to get spanked 4-1. I'm going 3-2 United. Come on. I'm
going to make a prediction for the cup final. Every time it's your round, you're going to fucking disappear like Ranta Ghost.
I've told you. Do you not think I scheduled this tournament for Grayson around the FA Cup final day?
Fucking Cynthia Brown, contact Martin, we'll do a seance here. His round, right? Fuck's sake.
Short arms and long pockets, me.
What's here's a false pank. Fuck's sake, it's typical of you. You think unless of course you're successful at commentating someone how there's credit card, then
that's what's next. I'm waiting for it to get in the shower so I can go and rummage through the purse.
Sounds like you've perfected that art, Martino. Oh, fuck's sake! It's
unfortunately so.
No, she drew the fucking short straw with you. Of all the people in Southern California that meets me,
she's a lucky lady.
Yes. All right, mate. We'll go ahead and do that before I extrapolate on that. We will see what happens in the cup final. Thanks to all of you for tuning in. I'll be back next week. If you want to hang on, you'll see Martin promotion for his OnlyFans after this. But
that was fun. Thank you for all the comments. It's actually quite amusing. I like doing these live ones because at least we guys get a little bit of interaction. You guys, it's awesome. You guys actually spend the time watching these two Muppets. So thank you.
Yes, and Martin will be on here until the flight logs of Epstein get released. Then we might be losing them after that. So thanks for your appearance, Martino. Our audience is grateful too. And we'll be back again next week, providing we're living in Spurs. Take it easy, Martino. Thanks, folks. See ya.